Now, if you start with the question, the introduction then offers sufficient direction to reassure the reader that you're going to proceed to make sense of the problem. Hence, the second through the penultimate sentence of the introduction gives the broad direction of the paper. Now you get to reassure your reader, and it is through your mastery of the material and your presentation of a logical path that you reassure them and you gain their confidence. Here's an example. In order to explore this question, the paper adopts the methodology developed by Charles H. Long, defining religion as From this perspective, the European slave trade is understood as a massive and brutal disorientation from which enslaved Africans and their descendants had to develop strategies adequate for developing a sense of their place in a new world that was immoral. Wow, you have framed then the heritage that becomes the problem. We have had a massive disorientation, and we are examining data about people, how people were developing an orientation in the face of that violence. Okay, then if you zero in on your focus, this paper proceeds to identify the depth and breadth of the slave trade, and then narrows its focus to a study of, enter the thing that interested you, and you conclude that introduction with your thesis. I'd say it might take you to the end of your paper till you've got that thesis. It might be the last thing you write. Let the data drive you to insight. Our goal is not to know what we're going to find, but to have a focused and good enough question that as you move through this data, by the time you are done, you will be ready to tie that bow that says, this is how I've contributed either to a solution or to insight regarding the problem. And since nobody else put the data together like that, what I found here, this is my contribution. Now, our method helps not only to approach something that doesn't happen in churches. This stuff is not stuck in four walls. But it also de-exoticizes what might otherwise be viewed through the residual normative frames of the dominant culture. So our method not only helps us look at the temple of hip-hop, look at consciousness, look at hands and hoodoo and root work, but also if this human requirement to develop a sense of meaning, and that's Pin's language, right? That we are meaning-making beings. To develop a sense of the ultimate significance of our place in the world, then what is happening in voodoo, what is happening in root work, it is no longer something that other people do that is not understandable. Rather, we have humanized this work, and you are focusing in on this work as it happens in African American religious culture. You have helped de-exoticize what might otherwise be looked at through the residual normative frames. And by that, let me just be blunt. Is it not likely that there's a language even of primitive or superstition or backwards or uneducated that might haunt us as we move through folk culture? This approach helps us by invoking a common humanity. This is the work humans do. And you're focusing in on either specific moments in time or a progression through time where you can show us how that work is accomplishing the task of making meaning out of one's place in the world. Your data brings specificity, and from that, significant meaning. We need the specifics of it. If you're going to cover hip-hop, do not simply reiterate a few of the quotes from some popular news articles. You must provide evidence regarding the origin, the breadth, the power, the themes of hip-hop. Your data brings specificity. It is that specificity that then gives meaning to the work being accomplished. When internationally famous rap stars are educating themselves on the temple of hip-hop. The insight gained by moving through your data is the thesis. I hope this has been helpful. Thank you.